Your peaceful and gloriously filthy life begins with you pushing a stubborn pig out of yet another muddy puddle. You're standing in front of your majestic straw hut, barefoot, muddy, and smelling like last week's soup. The pig squeals joyfully, probably the only one enjoying this mess. You sigh. It's not much, but it's yours. Spoiler, even this pig-filled paradise is about to be ruined. A noble steward arrives on a tall, shiny horse. He's spotless, shiny boots, trimmed beard, smug smile. You, meanwhile, are barefoot, muddy, and smell like pig. He declares, "The king requires your service in the war in France." You blink, confused. He continues, "That wasn't a request." The steward begins a dramatic speech about glory for England and 1 shiny shilling a day. Your eyes light up like a tavern sign during a beer sale. 1 shilling a day, that's more than you've ever made in a week. Spoiler alert, you will never see that full shilling, not once. But in this moment, you're already planning your cheese and ale empire. You say goodbye to your family. It's emotional, but also muddy. Your mother squeezes a rock-hard piece of cheese into your hand with trembling fingers. "For strength," she says. You nod, pretending not to notice it smells like goat. That cheese will be your most loyal companion for months. Unlike your boots, those give up by day 3. You arrive at the gathering point, ready for your glorious transformation into a soldier. First up, military gear. A grumpy quartermaster throws you a gambeson, basically a quilted tunic that smells like old soup and defeat. It's stained, stiff, and suspiciously moist. You wonder if the previous owner died in it, or if it's still haunted. Either way, you now wear it, and it's itchy. Time for weapons! You step forward, dreams of a shiny sword in your head. Instead, you're handed a billhook, a farming tool awkwardly tied to a stick. You stare at it. It stares back, emotionally. The armorer shrugs. You ain't a knight, mate. Around you, others get equally ridiculous weapons. One guy got a broom. You grip your billhook and whisper, "Well, this'll be fine." Your final piece of gear, a helmet. Not a majestic, knightly helm. No, this is basically an upside-down cooking pot. You put it on and instantly lose half your vision. It wobbles slightly. You take 1 step and slam face first into a tent pole. Somewhere, a chicken laughs. You're not sure how, but it definitely laughed. You're yanked from your dreams by the sound of a war horn that feels more like an insult than a wake-up call. You sit up, itchy, groggy, and covered in hay and suspicious bug bites. You're betting a straw pile that might have once hosted a rodent convention. This is day 1 of training, and you already miss your pig. Breakfast is served, a steaming bowl of something called pottage. You stare into the thick sludge and spot something floating. Is it a bean? A toe? A beetle? You decide not to ask. You take a bite, instantly regret it, and then take another because you're starving. Welcome to fine medieval cuisine. Meet your drill sergeant, a man whose face looks like it lost a fight with a hive of bees. He bellows, "You march!" Or try to. Marching is just walking in sync, but somehow you zig when others zag. You trip, bump into Oswald, step on someone's foot, and end up in a heap. The sergeant sighs like he's aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Today's lesson, shield wall formation. It means pressing shoulder to shoulder with Oswald, a man whose body odor has its own personality. You try to hold your breath but end up choking anyway. Oswald smiles like he's proud of it. You clutch your shield, eyes watering, regretting every life choice that led to this sweaty alliance. While adjusting your grip on the billhook, you accidentally jab the blunt end straight into Oswald's back. He freezes, slowly turns, his eye twitches. You try to smile. He does not smile back. He mutters something about revenge and stomps off. You suddenly feel very unsafe holding a sharp object next to a man with a grudge and no sense of humor. Today's drill, how to face cavalry. Your opponent, a fellow recruit with a bucket on his head, making horse noises and charging at you with a broom. You brace yourself, sort of. He gallops in slow motion and bumps into you with a soft bunk. The sergeant yells like it's life or death. You question everything, the training, the war, your existence. Archery training. The longbow, elegant, deadly, and completely incompatible with your noodle arms. The instructor skips everything and goes straight to the most important rule. Do not shoot your teammates. You nod seriously, already holding the bow upside down. This lesson isn't about hitting the enemy, it's about not becoming one yourself. You release your first arrow. It soars majestically, straight up. Everyone watches as it vanishes into the clouds. 5 seconds later, it thunks into the dirt inches from your foot. You stare at it, then at the sky, questioning gravity, archery, and your life choices. Somewhere, Oswald is laughing way too hard. The most valuable skill you learn isn't sword play or tactics, it's digging latrines. You're handed a rusty spade and pointed toward a field. No instructions, just dig. By the end of the day, you've created a surprisingly artistic trench. Your reward? Doing it again tomorrow and the day after. You are now officially the camp's minister of poop. Time for battle cries. The sergeant yells, "Huzzah!" like thunder. The others echo loudly. Then it's your turn. You take a deep breath and let out the saddest, most uncertain huzzah in history. It sounds like a dying goose. Silence follows. Even the wind pauses to cringe. You wonder if this is what defeat tastes like. End of the day, you collapse onto your straw bed, soaked in sweat, fear, and the lingering aroma of Oswald. Every muscle aches. Your gambeson now feels like a soggy bread loaf. You stare at the tent ceiling, wondering if you'll survive this training or become part of the camp's smell forever. The Grand March begins. You take your first steps in your boots, which are really just scraps of leather tied around your feet with hope and string. After 3 miles, they resemble wet lasagna. Your toes poke out, offended. You realize this isn't a heroic campaign. It's a long, painful hike with bad footwear and worse morale. Rain begins to fall. Not a dramatic storm, just the slow, soul-crushing drizzle only England can produce. Your gambeson soaks it up like a sponge. Water drips down your back, your sleeves, your spirit. Everything squelches. You're not marching anymore, you're marinating. And there's no towel in sight. The road has now evolved into a full river of mud. You take one unlucky step and your left foot slurps out of its soggy leather wrap. You freeze. You look down. No shoe. 10 minutes of digging later, you recover it, along with a questionable worm. You try to look dignified. You fail. Dinner is served. A single piece of army hardtack. You bite down and feel your molars cry for mercy. It's like gnawing on a brick. In desperation, you dunk it into your watery beer rations. It becomes slightly less brick-like. You chew, you regret, but hey, at least it didn't break a tooth, yet. Halfway through your hardtack, you notice something wriggling inside. A weevil, maybe two. You blink, pause, then mutter, "Extra protein," and crunch through with the resolve of a man who's lost the will to care. Congratulations, you've officially hit the medieval culinary low point. Time for bed. You lie down on the cold, wet ground. Your pillow? A dented iron helmet. It presses into your skull like a pan made of disappointment. You shiver, wrap your arms around your knees, and try to pretend this counts as rest. Spoiler, it doesn't. A majestic knight gallops past on a warhorse the size of a barn. You look up in awe right before the horse's hooves fling a tidal wave of mud directly onto your face. You're drenched, stunned, and brown from head to toe. The knight doesn't even glance back. You wonder if nobility includes selective blindness. You've caught a cold. Your nose runs like a leaky wineskin. To make things worse, the guy sleeping next to you has dysentery. He groans ominously. You shuffle a few inches away. He shuffles closer. You both pretend this is fine. Deep down, you know it isn't. It's payday. You line up, hopeful. The clerk counts a few coins into your palm, then deducts for food, gear, camp fees, laundry, and miscellaneous. You're left with 2 sad pennies and a pat on the back. You stare at the coins like they might multiply. They don't. At long last, you lay eyes on the coast of France. It looks exactly like the coast of England, muddy, windy, gray, except now there are more people actively trying to kill you. You take a deep breath, trying to feel heroic. Instead, you just inhale seaweed and regret. You decide to sharpen your billhook, imagining yourself as a fierce warrior. You drag it across a rock dramatically. Sparks don't fly. Instead, the blade gets duller. Now it's basically a farming spatula. You sigh and pat it like a disappointed parent. It's doing its best, probably. You sit quietly and pull out the rock-hard cheese your mother gave you. It's still intact. You stare at it for a long time. In that moment, you genuinely consider abandoning the war, fleeing into the woods, and living the rest of your life as a mysterious cheese hermit. Tempting. A nobleman in gleaming armor stands tall on a perfectly groomed horse, delivering a grand speech to rally the troops. His voice is deep, noble, and carries through the camp like a sermon. You want to be inspired, but mostly you're distracted by how his armor sparkles. Must be nice to afford polish. From your spot in the back row, you see only the horse's butt and hear mostly the wind whistling through your helmet. Your teeth chatter like castanets. You assume something motivational is being said, but you're too busy shivering to care. This speech would hit harder if you had socks. The soldier next to you leans over and whispers, "He said something about St. George and, slaying garlic eaters?" You blink. Garlic eaters? You nod slowly, pretending to understand. Honestly, you'd follow anyone who promised a warm meal and socks at this point. A grumpy officer points at a wrinkled, indecipherable map. "You lot stand here. Do not move." You squint at the map. It looks like a child's drawing of a duck. You nod anyway. Arders are arders, even if they come from someone who can't tell north from a ham sandwich. You nervously raise a hand. "What if the French attack, sir?" The officer stares at you like you just asked what grass tastes like. Then stop them or die, preferably the first one. You lower your hand, not because you understand, but because you value your teeth. You kneel behind a barrel trying to pray. You forget the words. Instead, you mumble, "Please, God, don't let me die like a background character." A distant trumpet blares. You squeeze your eyes shut. If divine help is coming, now would be a great time. You unwrap your last piece of cheese. It's hard, slightly moldy, and smells like old boots, but it tastes like a 5-star feast. You chew slowly, savoring every crumb like it's sacred. In that moment, you don't feel like a terrified foot soldier. You feel briefly alive. Then it's gone, just like hope. You glance down at your billhook, basically a glorified farm tool. Then you glance at the knight's swords, polished, elegant, deadly. You frown. There's a definite equipment gap here. You wonder if anyone's ever won a war with a glorified cabbage slicer. You look across the field. The French army stands in neat formation. Tall flags, polished armor, serious faces. They outnumber you. They outhorse you. You gulp. You're not sure if your side has a strategy, but the other side definitely has horses. A lot of horses. As the tension builds, your stomach makes a noise that can only be described as a betrayal. You suddenly feel a dire, urgent need to visit the latrine, the very one you dug. You sprint over, only to find a long, miserable line. You consider your options. None of them are good. The French cavalry begins to charge. The ground shakes like a bad dream. You see a wall of horses, lances, and very angry men coming straight at you. You briefly consider faking your own death. Too late. It's real, it's loud, and it smells like wet armor and panic. "Hold the line!" someone screams. You jam your billhook into the ground, crouch behind the guy in front of you, and shut your eyes tight. You're not a soldier, you're a human sandbag. You briefly whisper to your billhook, "Protect me, gardening tool of destiny." Chaos erupts. A horse barrels into the shield line. You're knocked flat. All you see now is legs. Horse legs, human legs, maybe your own. You try to get up, but a boot lands near your face. You stay down. This is not a place for upright people. You flail your billhook wildly in the chaos, eyes half closed, arms windmilling like a scarecrow in a tornado. You might have hit something, or nothing, hard to say. There's shouting, metal clanging, and someone yells, "Ow!" But it might have been Oswald. Honestly, who knows? You stop, you assess, you lie down. Amongst the flying arrows, flailing swords, and screaming men, you realize the safest place is flat on your stomach, pretending to be a rock. You even try to hold your breath. Camouflage mode activated. Flack! An arrow lands in the dirt an inch from your face. You freeze, eyes wide, mouth shut. You don't even blink. Breathing feels like a luxury now. You mentally apologize to every god from every religion just to be safe. The noise fades. You crack open one eye, then the other. The shouting is moving farther away. You slowly sit up, covered in mud, leaves, and something you hope isn't horse poop. But miraculously, you're unharmed. You survived by doing absolutely nothing. Strategy flawless. Victory! The nobles cheer, flags waving, horns blaring. You, meanwhile, are handed a sack and told to collect reusable arrows from the blood-soaked battlefield. As they toast with wine, you dig through mud and guts. You find one arrow, slightly bent, much like your spirit. Months later, you finally return to your village. You're not rich, you're not a hero. Your only war trophy is a dented French helmet that smells like defeat. Nobody throws a party. Your pig doesn't even recognize you. But hey, you made it back, mostly intact. You're herding your pig again. Same old muddy yard, same old squeals. But this time, your eyes linger on your crooked little hut. It's beautiful. You chuck the dented French helmet into the pigsty. It lands with a satisfying thunk. Voiceover, and you realize the greatest adventure was surviving to come home.